Once again, congrats on making it to Octa Finals. We should jump into some questions. So first of all, you discussed the counter goal of national security, correct?
Right.
So is your basic premise that military commissions are better at achieving national security?
Yes.
Okay, so you agree essentially that military commissions serve a purpose, and so they should be preserved at least to some degree?
Yes.
Okay, so in order for you to prove that that will be the case, you should show a compelling advantage for why military commissions should be used when federal courts should not, correct?
Right, and I believe I did, and my partner can discuss more reasons for that in his next speech.
What did you discuss in your speech for what military commissions could do better than?
Well, I talked about, my first point was basically entirely devoted to talking about how federal courts are not an absolute strategy, and some cases simply cannot be tried in that court. And then in my last sub-point under this, I talked about the evidence doesn't apply, and actually many of those terrorists could never have been legally tried in military commissions.
Under your first sub-point, under that significance point, you said that federal courts sometimes can't be used. What was the reasoning you brought up for that point?
Sure, it was a discussion, hold on. Sure, it was a study done by a couple different think tanks, and they talked about why they wouldn't be able to handle all cases.
Right, could I have a copy of that piece? Sure. Thank you. Could I pass back to my partner?
That'd be fine.
Thanks. So you also discussed how some cases are not necessarily fit for federal courts, so we should use military commissions sometimes, right?
Can you repeat the question?
So your contention under that first subpoint was also that because military commissions were designed to serve a specific purpose dealing with the worst terrorists, they should be preserved to do that.
Right.
Right? Okay, so then the contention you're making is that there are some people, some terrorists that shouldn't be tried in federal courts.
Right, there are, definitely.
Okay, so moving on, you talked about the critical dilemma of sensitive information. And so you basically contended that federal courts can disclose information in a way that would be harmful to national security, while military commissions do not, correct?
Right, sensitive information simply has to be discussed when convicting a terrorist.
So your contention is that federal courts and military commissions are different in this way?
Right.
Okay, so you brought up a quote from Alan Dershowitz on that point.
Sure.
Copy that as well?
Sure, I have actually, would you like all the evidence that I
Why not?
brought up?
Sure, absolutely, thanks.
All right.
So moving down, you also talked about how terrorists are still being held in Guantanamo even if they're not convicted, correct?
Right.
So you believe essentially that a person sitting essentially awaiting trial is considered just. Is that your contention?
Well, basically your contention under justice was that they should receive life sentences. But the fact is that although it may not be technically a life sentence, they are going to be spending the rest of their life in Guantanamo.
Gotcha, thanks for clarifying that. And you also stated that our evidence doesn't apply, and I was a bit confused by your reasoning. What was your basic warrant for that?
Sure, so basically your evidence was talking about every single terrorist tried in Article 3 courts. They weren't specifically talking about terrorists that were held in Guantanamo Bay or would even fit the standards of Guantanamo Bay.
So
many of these terrorists were actually domestic terrorists.
So very quickly, you agree that you think that there are two different groups being dealt with in commissions in federal courts, right?
Sure.
Okay, thanks for your question. Thanks for your answers, thanks.